Welcome to this episode of Our College, Your Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. We have 2 episodes up for you this week, all about our strategic plan. In this first episode of the 2, we are going to bring you quite a bit of live audio that was recorded at the Strategic Plan Refresh session, which happened on February 28th. You've heard from a few of our guests about how this strategic plan is one of the most living, breathing documents that many of us have ever experienced or worked with as a strategic plan. It really is a hallmark of who we are as an institution now, because it does guide us and help us to know what our next steps should be as an institution. And as someone who participated in this refresh day, I can tell you it was really kind of amazing to watch us celebrate the first year, the first birthday of our strategic plan. We even had, as President Ellspermann will reference here in a moment, a birthday cake. But we also just celebrated those accomplishments, admitted where we weren't hitting the mark. We're going to talk a little bit about that with Goal 8 and the addition of that new goal around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And also just to hear a little bit more about the process we've used here at the college to put that strategic plan in motion. So first up, I have a little bit of audio to share with you from Kristen Moreland, who is the VP of Change Management and Process Improvement here at the college. Kristen's going to give us the layout of the day that we followed. And then following her remarks to the group, I sat down for a minute with President Ellspermann to get her reflections on this first year of the new strategic plan that she helped us to build here at Ivy Tech. I'll apologize in advance if there's a little bit of an audio quality difference. As you know, we do everything we can to bring you the best quality audio, but also to bring as many voices to you as possible. And we were in a big event space that was a little bit noisy that day. So if you do hear a little background noise, we apologize. We were having a lot of fun doing a lot of hard work that day. So you may hear some laughter and other things in the background. I'm here with Kristen Moreland. Kristen, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Kristen Moreland, and I'm the Vice President of Change Management and Strategic Initiatives out of the President's Office.
And so today you are charged with sort of coordinating our day today. We're at the Strategic Plan Refresh. Can you tell us what's ahead for today?
Yes, in the morning, we're going to level set and talk about some things that we need to make sure we add into the strategic plan in its second year, including diversity and innovation. And then in the afternoon, we'll have goal workshops, one for each goal, where we will refresh and renew the goals and strategies based on what's happened over the past year.
And what kind of process are we going to use for that refresh and renew? This is new for us. So what are we going to do this year to do that process?
We are going to use a piece of the Simplex creative problem-solving methodology, which is mapping. So why, what, stopping, mapping, where we will ask why do we want to do something and what's stopping us from achieving that goal or that strategy, and we'll refresh the maps based on that.
Excellent. Thanks very much. I look forward to the day. I'm here with President Ellspermann. Sue, you just wrapped up your remarks about the strategic plan. Can you give a little summary to our entire college community about what you said in your remarks and what this process that the team is going to go through today means?
I won't replay 45 minutes of remarks, but we have had a terrific first year on that strategic plan. We have made amazing progress. We're going to be able to retire or put in maintenance a couple of strategies that have been exceptional, but we're not there. We made 15 of our 18 metrics this past year, which is good, but not great. We have a lot of work. We know our Achilles heel is around enrollment and, of course, student success in helping our students persist and complete. So today is about refreshing that plan. It's to celebrate the successes we've had, but it's not to be content. It's to polish the strategies that are there. It's to create strategies, particularly around enrollment and our K-14 strategies, ensuring that we are helping those high school students earn post-secondary, whether that's in high school or when they come to us. There are so many opportunities, and I hope the message of the many, both in this event today as well as those that are on our campuses across the state, understand this is a journey. We are working hard to be the community college that Indiana needs us to be. That 50,000 completion big goal that we've set for Hoosiers is incredibly important. It's what we need for our friends, neighbors, and family members to have the kind of futures that they want to have. Our strategic plan is all about building the pieces that make sure that can happen. And we've made great progress, but we have much more to do. So year one, we actually had a birthday cake, blew out the candle on the cake. It's exciting that we are where we are, but we still have a lot of work to do. And for those that are listening and not in the room today, I just want to invite them to be engaged. If they're not on a strategy team and want to be involved, please pick up that strategic plan or get online and look at it and say, how can I make a difference? That said, I know every day on our campuses, hundreds of efforts are going on every day in alignment with that strategic plan. The real challenge is, as I talk about us as a 12-cylinder engine, we've gone from 8 to 10 cylinders. We're not quite at 12. We've got to continue to work in order to be that well-oiled, well-operating machine that Indiana needs us to be to help Hoosiers be successful, have the kind of lives, have the communities they want to live in, and make sure that employers can succeed in Indiana. So on all accounts, it's been a great first year, but we're not done. It's lap one of the race. We've got several more laps to go, and I look forward to the journey ahead and can't wait for us to achieve our big goal.
Thank you so much. As President Ellspermann just mentioned, we were able to achieve 15 of our 18 metrics for the 2018 year here at Ivy Tech, which is, as she said, certainly something to be celebrated, but we have much more to do. One of the other areas where we've noticed as a college that we have much more to do, we weren't making the progress that we wanted to, is around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I have a group of guests that are going to talk about process we went through to add what is now going to be the 8th goal in our strategic plan, which will have additional metrics, growing that number of 18 metrics to just a few more over the next year, and have you hear from them about what it was like in the room to add that goal and why we thought it was important. Part of our morning activity here was to talk about diversity and inclusion, which was one of the goals or one of the parts of our strategic plan that we feel that we didn't have enough representation of in the original draft of the strategic plan. And I am with 6 of my colleagues. I'm going to have them introduce themselves.
Hi, Doran Moreland, statewide diversity, community engagement.
Hi, my name is Woodson, and I go here at Ivy Tech.
Chris Cathcart, Vice Chancellor of Student Success for Fort Wayne.
I'm Stacy Atkinson, VCAA in Richmond.
Corey Klossman-Ryan, Assistant Vice President for Student Success in Systems Office.
Chad Bolser, Chancellor in Richmond.
Thank you all for talking with me. So, Doran, I'm going to start with you. Can you talk about sort of where we level set? You provided that for us. So can you just give us maybe a 1-minute summary of your level set conversation?
Sure. We acknowledged that, when we set out to build our strategic plan about a year ago, we had a very thoughtful conversation about where diversity fit into it. And at that time, we decided, instead of specifically calling it out or creating a goal for diversity, that we would allow those themes to sort of permeate the plan. But what we found throughout that year was that while it was well intentioned at the time, it wasn't really hitting the mark. And so what we decided was to revisit these themes and to try to hold ourselves to a higher level of accountability so that we can really kind of go to a higher level. And so it sounds like we're going to actually have these themes called out in our plan, which was a surprising and really positive development.
So for those of you who just participated in that conversation, tell me a little bit about some of the themes that you heard, the things that you were really encouraged by.
So as we developed the strategic plan a year ago, I remember us talking through diversity and ensuring that it was woven into the strategic plan. I think the need was very clear in the room a little while ago about calling it out specifically and calling it out separately. And if our intention as an institution is to ensure that it's prioritized and that it's an emphasis in all of our everyday work, that a separate goal was probably the best approach to take at the beginning. So it was interesting to see how much attention was drawn into the room about how exactly to make it a separate goal and a separate area of interest for the entire institution.
I would say also that we need to display a commitment. We need to put our money behind this. We need to infuse this into our culture, that it's not just about metrics, it's not just about policy, but it's actually building the relationships and actually displaying the commitment, but displaying the commitment to it that it actually deserves.
So some of the things that we heard were to have, again, to sort of re-up having specific strategies under each goal, to have metrics tied directly to diversity, and then to even make it its own goal. So as Doran, as you said, it sounds like that's the direction we're going to go, is that it's going to be its own goal, but it's also going to be interwoven into the other strategies. And so somebody talk to me about why you think that's a good path or a bad path, or what you think that gives us that we don't have today in the plan.
I think what's important to understand is that we as a college have struggled with the concept of diversity and what it means. And I think us having a separate strategy around it identifies that and allows us to really focus on using the language, how might we improve? But embedding it into every other strategy still keeps everyone accountable and makes sure that they're aware that it's everyone's job. And so I like the approach we're taking. I don't want us to lose momentum because this is not a new conversation. And every time we have it and we don't make any forward momentum, it makes it a little bit harder to start over. And so I fully believe that having a separate strategy is important because it places the focus and spotlight right on it. But we also want it in everybody's other conversations so that we can continue to move forward in every area.
Well, I think the fact that there was clearly a sense of urgency in the room about making something happen that was a little bit different was energizing. It was positive. Sometimes in those large group settings where you can't agree that it's necessarily Thursday, you can agree on this subject in a way that was different than other meetings that we typically have. And I also think it speaks to a couple other things about Ivy Tech. Number one, strategic plans are typically those things that sit on shelves that we point to as we go about doing the business that we do. We have proclaimed in many ways that this strategic plan is different and that you refresh something like this or you rethink something like this. And for that to take place in that setting is, again, a credit to this institution. To Chris's point, it's not the end. And you've got to make sure that outcomes happen because of it. But that is exactly what you want in a strategic plan that is actually alive and kicking, not something that's sitting on a shelf. And then I think the culture of the divergent exercise, that is what we do in terms of our simplex sort of mindset here, is that you are not scared or concerned that maybe what you bring up may be different than somebody else thinks. And I thought that you saw the building of ideas happen right in front of us. And that to me, again, it reinforces the philosophies and the principles of what this institution is doing.
So this morning we celebrated our strategic plan's first birthday. Next year, about this same time, we'll celebrate our strategic plan's second birthday with a different level of focus on diversity, inclusion, and equity. What looks different at Ivy Tech as a result of the action that just happened here today?
I think that Chad made a really important point in that our plan is very much a working plan. And I know that President Elserman takes that plan on the road with her all the time. And so and people pay attention to what our priorities are within that plan. So I'm very excited about the fact now of having diversity, equity, inclusion conspicuously called out in the plan, and that signals to people, our stakeholders in our communities, potential students, potential employers, that hey, Ivy Tech really means what they're saying with this. And so I think that having a separate goal really has a lot of benefits for us internally in terms of accountability and commitment, but even externally, it's a signal to people that hey, Ivy Tech they really mean what they're saying in this area.
So can I put you on the spot as a student voice? Because in the room, we heard that we need to bring student voice into the conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you think about an institution that says we value this at the level of our strategic plan, a document that forms who we are, does that change your perception of the institution you've chosen to get your degree from, and why?
Well, for me as a student and my background, I'm from another country, and I sat down with Dorian, and he was talking about diversity and to professionalize it in the school, and I thought that was really interesting, and I look forward to see what he will bring, for the school and also in the strategic aspect that we have here for Ivy Tech.
When we talked with President Elsterman, she urged you that if you have interest to get involved, that there are lots of opportunities to do that. So in this next segment, or these next couple of segments, we're going to talk to a few of the folks who both co-lead strategies as well as serve as strategic rotation leads. Not all the roles, but several of the major roles here. There's also opportunities to serve on strategy teams, even if you don't want to be a leader. But we wanted to let you hear directly from the folks who do these roles, what they're like and what the opportunities are in those. So I'm here with Andy Bound. Andy, would you introduce yourself again to our audience?
Hi, I'm Andy Bound, and I serve as the college's Chief Operating Officer.
And today at our Strategic Planning Summit, you are officially the goal sponsor for goals 1, which is student success, and 7, which is community.
That is correct.
Can you talk about that role?
Absolutely. So the role of the college level sponsor is really to provide oversight and to make sure that we're thinking things through and how one goal may connect to another goal and the related strategies and tactics. As I think about our strategic planning process, one of the things I've been most impressed by has been the fact that this is a living, breathing document. I've worked at another college and at employers, and this is the first time in my career that I have seen a plan that actually we dig into on a daily basis and then is refreshed, is looked at, halfway through the year, and then here we are a year into it, and we're looking at what does the plan need to be given where we've come and where we're going. How do we refresh the plan? It's a living document.
Very good. Any reflection about how folks were engaged today, or just the experience of today for anybody that wasn't in the room?
Yeah, so the activity today was very engaging. It was a combination of report outs, but then very active engagement of the participants who are strategy leads, goal leads, all of us that were here. It was open, it was inclusive, and it was really exciting to think about where we're going as a college and how that interfaces, and even thinking about equity and inclusion and diversity and how that rolls into the very core of who we are.
And I really appreciated how we talked about at the end as we did the 3 up, 3 down, which we do so often, making sure that we give that diversity, equity, and inclusion goal the same attention that we gave to the rest of our goals.
Oh, absolutely. And it was an intentional decision last year. And I think, again, going back to the fact that this is a living, breathing document, we have realized through this that to have it embedded and layered into it doesn't call the attention that we believe it needs if we truly believe our value of inclusiveness and valuing diversity and expecting equity.
Thanks, Andy. I'm here with Corey Klossman-Ryan. Corey, would you introduce yourself and then specifically what your role is with the strategic plan?
Yes, my name is Corey Klossman-Ryan. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Student Success in the Systems Office. I am one of the champions for Strategy 1.1, so I serve as the Systems Office champion along with Heather Baker, who's the campus lead as well.
And do you remember how you were selected as the Systems Office champion? Do you remember how that process works? I'm not sure if I do.
No, but they really tried to work to align kind of what your role is and or what your passion is with what the strategy is. So Strategy 1.1 is all about ensuring that our students' basic needs are met, which falls under my role, but really is a passion of mine as well. So that's kind of how I got linked to it.
And while I can't specifically remember how they were chosen, my guess is I might have said Corey would be perfect for that. So sometimes it's my fault, but I can't think of anyone better to lead that strategy. So tell me a little bit about what you do in the role as a system office co-lead with your campus counterpart.
So in the beginning, it was all about helping the team develop the tactics that we're going to do to actually accomplish those strategies. Now that we're rolling, it's helping identify what it is we're doing, helping keep the team moving along, but then helping to remove roadblocks. Since a lot of it happens at the system level or wider, it's pulling in people that we need to pull in, having conversations with the people that need to be involved. But then it's sometimes just help keeping it moving forward. So we know that there's some things that are outside the control of the tactic team. And so it's making sure that we connect the right people that need to be connected, and just making sure that if something needs to be done, that it does get done if the people who are on the tactic team might not have the position or necessarily the time to do that.
Good. And so when you think about what we're doing today, we're refreshing the strategic plan and specifically perhaps refreshing your strategy. What do you think might be a refresh for your strategy?
I think for us, it's really about what happens next. So we know that students aren't successful if they don't have their basic needs. But if they come to class hungry, that it's going to be really tough for them to focus on that test or that assignment. And so we've worked to identify kind of where do we start with this. So for us, it's really what's next, because we focus at a very high level. And so there's a lot more that we need to do. We have 4 basic areas that we're focusing on. But now it's really how do we help connect students to what those needs are, making sure that they're taking advantage of them.
And one big accomplishment from this year is the launch. It's in pilot at 3 of our campuses right now of Ivy Assist. Can you talk just a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, so we know that at the campus level, there are some things that we can offer to our students. If they come into our office, they need something kind of an emergency, we can provide it to them. But we know that there are some things that we can't offer. Just because, or that there are people in the community that can do it better than we can and are already doing it. So it's really all about what is out there in the community already and how can we help connect students to it. So it's an online platform. They can go in and take a needs assessment, or if they already know what it is that they need, they can just be connected that way. It'll say who the agency is, what the contact information is, where they can find it. So they can go right there and be connected with somebody who's already doing it in their community as well.
Part of our day today here at the Strategic Plan Review was to talk a little bit about the different roles in the strategic plan. And I am standing here with 6 either current or just retiring strategy rotation leads. I'm going to have you each introduce yourselves and then talk just a little bit about the role. So Rebecca, can I start with you to just do a quick introduction of yourself?
My name is Rebecca Keene, and I am working with Goal 3, Completion.
Excellent.
My name is Lori Rowe. I'm working with Goal 5, Employee or Talent.
My name is Lisa Moore, and I'm working with Goal 6, Finance.
Hi, I'm Patrick Nevins, also Goal 5, Employee or Talent.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Fritz, and I am Goal 7, Community.
Hi, I'm Sarah Cleveland, and I'm Goal 1, Student Success, and I am retiring.
Good. And so for those that are retiring, that's Sarah and Lori. So you have served for how long?
6 months.
Very good.
1 year.
Okay. And what did you were honored this morning, as have our previous strategy rotation leads who retired. You were honored in a very nice way. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So we were honored with a scholarship in our name that we get to give to the student of our choice. I am so excited to do that. I have no idea how that process works, but I'm so excited to learn about it and give it to a student.
That was a great surprise. I love passing on to students, being able to pass something on to them.
That's awesome. Very good. So for the rest of you, talk just a little bit about your role as a strategy rotation lead. What do you do as a lead?
I try to attend as many meetings as I can with the different strategies under Goal 7. I get to attend most of those via go-to meetings, and I am responsible for getting information from each strategy lead, putting it together, and facilitating a monthly meeting for the entire goal.
Excellent. Thanks, Vanessa. And then for our 3 new incoming rotational leads, what kind of orientation, or maybe if you haven't received that yet, because I'm not sure where you are in the process, our 3 more experienced leads, what kind of orientation do you get to the process, and what are you most excited about this process?
So part of our orientation has been just hearing from those who are already leads, so learning a little bit more about the role from them and getting some good pieces of advice on what's been effective and what they've done and what's worked well. And as far as looking forward to it, I'm looking forward to learning more about the college as a whole. I've been in a very specific role on my campus for many, many years, and this opportunity will not only be to help move the strategic plan forward, but also to understand more about the college as a whole and how we can be a part of moving the college forward.
Let's see. I went back and did a lot of reading from the Goal 5 notes, their slides, just so I could be informed coming into it. And I'm really excited about really all 4 parts of it: recruitment, retention, our adjunct faculty, certification institute, and the innovation spaces. And excited to see how we can incorporate diversity and inclusion into the goal. I think being the employee or talent goal, we have a great opportunity for that.
Being a part of Goal 3, I'm really excited to help the college reach the goal of 50,000 completions. So I think just getting to be a part of a team to help lead that is going to be really exciting.
Excellent. Well, somebody who serves as a sponsor for 2 of our goals, I can say we cannot do it without our strategy rotation lead. So thanks to all of you for your service. Next, I want you to hear from my always willing to be a podcast partner in crime, Ann Valentine. Ann and I both had the privilege of facilitating a goal conversation during the day. And I'd like Ann to walk us through what that process looked like. Then you're going to hear from one more of the strategy co-leads from Systems Office, Jen Bowersock. Her strategy actually had the opportunity to go through a little bit of a refresh that day. So I want you to hear what's next from them in year 2. So I'm here with my always podcasting partner in crime, Ann Valentine. Hi, Ann. How are you today?
Great, thank you.
So today, you and I each had the task of facilitating conversation around a goal. Can you summarize a little bit more about what our job was today as facilitators?
We wanted to make sure that the goals we've been working on, that we affirm what had worked well in the last year and figure out what was missing, because perhaps in some cases for Goal 3, for example, one of the goals moved to a maintenance phase. So what is the next thing that rises up that we should work on? And so it was great to have brilliant minds in the room to start to chip away at that. K-14 was also one of the strategies, and so now that we've hired a vice president for K-12 at the systems office, that helped us really start to flesh out more about what that strategy could look like. So that was our goal, was to see what was working and then come up with what we want to do next for those goals.
And how did you use the work that had already been done? If our Ivy Tech family goes onto My Ivy, they'll see the original goal maps. How did you build on that and use that information in today's session and sort of what we've already done?
We used that sort of as the baseline and to validate that, in fact, so those were the ones we selected before, and then looking at what was there before that maybe didn't rise to be a strategy we worked on. Should that be what pulls forward, or have we learned in the last year since those maps were created that something else would rise up? And I think it was what we came up with for in Goal 3 was a little bit of both. It builds on things we've been talking about, and you see in the maps about stackable credentials, but focusing also then on associate degrees, stacking into associate degrees. So it helped us get a baseline, but then what's new? What have we learned that we can do and make a sort of a new map for that?
And I think that was really reflective of the way our institution just changes so fast that there's new wording, there are new ways we look at things.
Absolutely. And we had a great discussion around, we've had a focus on the shorter term credentials, but we can't lose sight of the fact that we also are an associate degree granting institution. So how can we serve both of those goals and objectives?
So I'm here with Jen Bowersock. Jen, would you introduce what you do here at the college and then what you're doing with the strategic plan?
Sure. I serve as Director of Risk Management in Systems Office, and risk management is responsible mainly for the procurement of our insurances and claims administration. We do some safety stuff. So my role in the strategic plan is twofold. One, I serve as a strategic rotational lead, and I'm serving with Goal 4 for the next several months. I also am a co-lead on Strategy 5.2, which is around fostering creativity and innovation. So had a nice spread of activity there.
And you actually got mentioned in the 3 Up, 3 Down, the wrap-up that we did, because you led our team building exercise called Whoosh, which was tons of fun today. I won't ask you to describe it, but people could Google it probably and find it? Okay, all right. So tell me a little bit about sort of the status of your strategy, the one that you work most closely with, and what it means for the college and your role specifically.
Sure. 5.2, the first year tactic we were focused on was creating pilots for innovation spaces. And these are mainly geared towards our faculty and staff to help foster that creativity and innovations. And so South Bend stood up the Idea Center. So that opened here about a month ago. So they are hosting professional development sessions, Simplex process development, and they're also using it as sort of a lounge just for faculty and staff to come and visit and collaborate. So that's been going very well. We have 2 others that are planning to launch this spring. One is Lawrenceburg and the other one is Muncie. So we're very excited to have them come on board. But I think the benefit really of all that is just giving our folks a venue where they can go to team up, collaborate, problem solve, right, and make things better for the college.
Good. So we will include some pictures of the Idea Center in our show notes for this episode because we have a few of those. What's next for your strategy?
Well, we are focused the next year just on the rollout of these next 2 sites, and then we're focused on data collection. So what's happening in the sites, is it impactful, and is it something that we want to scale and look to do at every campus?
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Our College, Your Voices. I want to give a special thanks to all of the folks who took a minute to talk with me today. Kristen, Sue, Doran, Woodson, Chad, Stacy, Chris, Corey, Rebecca, Lori, Patrick, Vanessa, Sarah, Ann, Jen, and Andy. Thank you so much for being willing to take a minute and just chat with me during the day. As you know, every episode ends with a call to action, and today's episode action is to take a look at our strategic plan on the website, strategicplan.ivtech.edu, and see if there's a way that you want to be involved. President Ellspermann gave all of us that challenge. So if you're not involved in the strategic plan and you have interest, please take a look at the plan and reach out. Also, as we mentioned today, we're going to be doing some Goal 8 listening sessions at various campuses. So continue to look out for information on those and participate in those because we want just as much participation in those sessions as we had in all the original strategic planning sessions. Thanks again for listening today. I am your host, Kara Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at KNM Tweets. Our producer is Ann Penny Valentine. Ann is on Twitter at Indy Penny. You can always reach us by email at ourcollegeyourvoices@ivtech.edu. Don't forget, you can participate in the show anytime by leaving us a voicemail. Our voicemail number is 317-572-5049. Once again, our number is 317-572-5049. Please don't let robocalls be the only messages that I get on this voicemail line. Our website is ivtech.edu/podcast. You can always check that out for show notes and other information about the show. Production assistance for this and every episode is provided by Becky Campbell, Sarah DeWitt, and the Ivy Tech Community College marketing team, and our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. The music, recording, and post-production services provided, as always, by Jen Eads at the Brassy Broadcasting Company. We will see you next time on Our College, Your Voices.